G'day, welcome back to the channel. We've got an FPV camera on the bench today, and it is from Foxeer. I know that because it says so on the box. I won't take it out of the box. I've already taken it out of the box, actually. It's now sitting on the Outlaw 250. I've already had a fly, and it works. So I thought, hey, it works. Why not review it? Here we go. This is it. It is let me read it out. Just amuse yourselves down here. Pretend there's something happening. It is the Foxeer Falkor 2 Mini 1200 TV line G-WDR FPV camera. So what does that mean? Well, it's got a resolution of 1200 TV lines. Does that matter? When I do the video showing you how analog FPV works, I think you'll see that it's bragging rights rather than really noticeable increase in resolution. Once you get above about 800 TV lines, you don't really get much more because the video transmitter receiver link puts a cap on it. It limits the resolution. I'll show you why that is in the video that's coming up. Now this will do 4:3 or 16:9. It is selectable. Yay, hey, it's pretty good. It's got a CMOS sensor, so it should have pretty good wide dynamic range. It's got a built-in OSD if you want to use it, which has the voltage, which isn't deadly accurate. Like these cameras, the voltage sensor's always out, usually by about half a volt or so. I think it's because they must have a diode in series with that line, or I don't know what it is, but they are always reading low. Anyway, this one reads low as well. But hey ho, they're all like that. It has fly time, which is basically just a timer that starts when you power it up. So it's not really fly time, is it? It's power on time. And it's got a 2.5mm lens. It'll do NTSC and PAL, and it'll run from 5 volts to 40 volts. Who would run 40 volts? I don't know. You kill yourself, electrocute yourself. Anyway, that's the box it came in, and it came with a little box full of accessories, which I've already taken out. But basically, you get a couple of wiring looms. Actually, I like this. This is quite good. One of the looms will plug into these like Turnigy, or what is it, Elite? You know, these is it Turnigy? Yeah, I think these FPV cameras with that funny little plug there. One of the looms will do that. The other loom plugs into a Foxeer FPV transmitter if you have one. Here's one here. So wiring up is a piece of cake. You just plug things in, and the only wires you have to solder up are your voltage sensor if you're using the OSD and the plus and minus for the battery. So hey ho, it's really kind of good. Very quick and easy to get going. You also get a whole lot of nuts and bolts and screws and a bracket adapter and a bracket, but I've used the bracket because I've already mounted it on a plane. There's a little thing which I've lost already, which has some instructions, or it tells you where to find your instructions. All pretty standard stuff. And it has a little board, which I'll have to go and get. Jump cut, I'm back. Has a little board, as you know, the little clicky button board, so you can adjust the camera settings. And there's quite a few settings, although the white balance is probably the only thing that I'm not totally chuffed with. If I put it on the bench here, my mat looks blue. How does that work? Why does it not have any green on inside on the bench? But in the air, well, you can see for yourself. I took one flight with the 16:9 setting. That was the only thing I changed. I changed it from 4:3 to 16:9, left everything else as stock, and flew it and recorded it in my Sky Zone goggles. And then I'm about to do another flight in 4:3 where I've wound the saturation up a little bit because I thought it was a little bit pasty looking. It didn't really look very vibrant, which is quite common with the CMOS sensors. They don't give the same pop as the old CCD sensors used to. But I just wound up the color a bit, and we'll see what that looks like. I have to say, on the first flight, I'm using a 600 milliwatt transmitter, video transmitter. I was worried that this is my first analog flight in over a week, and I was thinking, oh, this is going to be terrible. I have to go from the DJI back to analog. But I was pleasantly surprised. Of course, the DVRs don't give you the real picture. They always add compression artifacts and make things look really blocky and horrible. The view through the goggles was actually really good, really good. So I was quite chuffed with the performance of the camera. Certainly the resolution is all you'll be able to get through an analog link, but it was fine. It was great. As I say, the first flight, not particularly saturated in terms of color, but I'm going to try it again now and we'll see what that looks like with 4:3. Use 4:3 this time. And one of the reasons I switched back to 4:3 is because I was trying out the DJI video goggles because I thought these could be fantastic video goggles, and I'm going to do a separate video on that. If you use the AV in, what are the pros and cons of using the DJI goggles rather than something like a set of Fat Sharks? Because, I mean, they're pretty kick-ass goggles. But anyway, we're not talking about that now. We're talking about this camera from Foxeer. So I'm going to go and have a fly on 4:3 with the saturation wound up a little bit, and I might just use a better DVR. I've got a LCD which has got a slightly better DVR, see if we can get a better picture than my Sky Zones produce. Not my Sky Zones, my Aomways. God, what am I talking about? My Aomways, the DVR on the Aomways is pretty average. So maybe my LCD will give a better indication of what you really see. Okay. I should be back in a moment. Well, that was much better. The colours were much brighter. They popped. Yeah, much better just to wind that colour up a little bit. And that's the installation. Pretty rough and ready, as you can see, using the standard cable I gave, Foxeer transmitter. I've got a pagoda antenna on there. There's the camera itself, and it performed really well. That was it was fun flying. It really was. As far as analog goes, that was not too bad, I got to say. And don't forget, I'm going to do a video on setting up the very best possible analog system. But this is, hey, the camera itself seems to work really well. The white balance I was talking about didn't seem to have an effect out there in the real world, only in maybe it's the lighting in the studio upsets it or something. But yeah, no, as you could see in the footage, the greens are green, the sky is blue, and actually there was a really difficult lighting shot. I had the wide dynamic range on, that's on by default, I think, and you can see when I'm flying into the sun, when you get a cloud backlit by the sun, that really puts a stress on cameras, because there's this intensely white little spot with shade all around. So the lighting on the ground drops dramatically, but the sky gets brighter. So it was a good test of wide dynamic range, and it passed with flying colours, as I would expect a modern CMOS camera to do. So yeah, I'm happy. So it's a good little camera. Happy with that. I don't know how crash resistant it is, because you know me, I never crash. But in the meantime, yep, it certainly works as advertised. One thing I noticed, which was good, there was very little in the way of jaggies, so there's good anti-aliasing. You notice the original Runcam Eagle had really, a diagonal line had really jaggy. It was stepped. You could see it because it was interpolating down from a sensor, and it didn't do it very well. They improved that a lot in later versions, but this one, virtually no jaggies, which is fantastic for keeping it real, making it look good. And it does look good. It looks pretty good. So there you go. I'm going to do some more flying with this. I'm very pushed for time today. It was hard to get a spotter. My spotter was only here for a few minutes. So I will be doing some more flying with this, and I certainly will be including this because I didn't measure the latency, haven't measured latency. I felt okay. I couldn't feel any real latency, but this is fixed wing, so you can't be totally sure. But I'm getting my latency test rig set up, and I'll be including this in the list of latency figures as I roll through them, and we'll see how it compares to other offerings on the market. So there you go. Questions, comments, the usual place, please. Thank you for watching, and thumbs up if you like the video. If you don't, thumbs down, but tell me why. And now I've got so much more stuff to be getting on with. Hopefully there'll be some regular videos over the next week or so as weather allows, because, oh goodness me, never mind. It's really cold. It's actually still quite windy today, which is why my flying wasn't very smooth. But I'll leave you with a bit more of the footage. I think this is from the Aomway goggles, so the footage may not be quite as good, but there you go. Bye for now.